Do you have an air fryer? Do you have an oven? I have both. I have a range with it's an electric range with a flat top, for heating up food on the stovetop. And then I have an oven, and it has a broiler setting, so I have all the things in my oven. But I also have a small air fryer, and I must say I like my air fryer better. I'm going to show you some of the things I use each, the oven and the air fryer for. And I would say not one isn't better than the other. I just prefer my air fryer because it's small and it's just me, so I don't need to generally heat up or cook or bake a big thing all the time. And I found that my air fryer is great for reheating like pizza, slices of pizza, or making the potatoes, which I did a video about. It's sort of like French fries, and you just use a whole potato, and it's great. It's wonderful. I think they're delicious. So there are certain things I really like using my air fryer for. And I'm going to go through some of the pros and cons of each, the oven and the air fryer. Mainly, in my large oven, I have to heat it up and preheat it, and it takes a little while. So that's sort of an inconvenience, but I go ahead and preheat it because I want the temperature to be ready at whatever the recipe calls for, or the frozen pizza, whatever I'm cooking in there, baking. Actually, when you're using the oven, it's baking or broiling and not cooking. I mean, it does cook the food, so I guess it's cooking, but I call it baking mostly. So, I don't preheat my air fryer. I guess I could let it run with nothing in it, but it seems to heat up pretty quickly, so I don't. And if I need to, I just cook the things in my air fryer a little bit longer, a couple more minutes. So we'll talk about the air fryer first. Some of the pros are that it's small and compact. It plugs in. Like I said, I don't preheat it. If I need to, I just cook the food a little longer. It doesn't heat up my house like the oven can, because I live in the Southwest desert and it's really hot here most of the time. In the winter, it cools off and it's pleasant. But like in the summer, I hate turning on my oven because the house is already like an oven if I'm not cranking up the air conditioning or cranking it down to a good temperature or whatever. So I like the convenience of not having to heat up the large oven. I think it uses less energy, the air fryer, because it basically is heat and air. It's a convection oven where it's circulating air and the heat, and it crisps up things if you spray them with oil really well. It's great for reheating pizza. It's like it's fresh. It's not, if you microwave a piece of leftover pizza, I think it's kind of soggy and limp. I don't like that. I like it to be crisp and the cheese all melted and browned. So it's great for that. Air frying lets you crisp up foods, kind of like the potatoes, with less oil. I just have a spray bottle and I spray the potatoes with just, I don't know, it's not very much, maybe half a teaspoon. And then I just kind of stir them and make sure all the potatoes have a coating. And that works really well. It's healthier, I think, using less oil. The cons of the air fryer include a limited capacity. It is a very small one. My air fryer is probably only about that big around and that deep, so it's very limiting. Some air fryers are like a toaster oven and they're bigger, and that would be great if you had 2 or 3 people, or you wanted to cook something in there or bake something that was larger. I'm limited basically with the small size of my air fryer, but I'm okay with it. If it ever poops out, I'll consider getting one of the toaster oven styles, and I could probably not use my oven hardly at all then. The price of an air fryer for a really good one can be up there. Mine is I think it's an LG model, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere. It was a gift many years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. And I know when I kind of looked it up, it was around $60 or something. And I don't think that's too bad. But the better ones are much more expensive. So they can be kind of pricey. Depends on how much you'll use it. And if you're not going to use your big oven, it's probably worth the investment. There is a learning curve with an air fryer. I know I didn't use mine hardly at all the first year or so. In fact, I would put it back in the box and put it on a shelf. And then I thought, this is stupid. I'm just going to leave it out on the counter. And then I learned how to use it by just using it. You know, I would look things up and use the little recipe book that came with the air fryer. And speaking of the counter, it does take up counter space. And I have a kind of galley kitchen, as you've probably seen in my videos, and it's out all the time along with my toaster and my coffee maker and my mixer, my Vitamix mixer. I won't use these things if I have to dig them out of the cabinet somewhere, so I just leave them out. And my cabinets, and I mean my shelves are all cluttered, but oh well. I would love to have a nice big kitchen, but I don't. So I work with what I have, and it works for me, but it does take up counter space, and that's okay. Some of the pros of an oven, the biggest one to me is you can put, you know, a big frozen pizza in there, or you can put in a big cake, you know, a rectangle cake pan and bake a cake. You can cook a whole turkey in there if you wanted to. You certainly can't do those things in my air fryer. You could possibly do them in a toaster size, you know, a toaster oven size air fryer, but it's limited capacity, and the oven gives you greater capacity. So that's a big plus with the oven. The oven is more versatile. You can bake, broil, roast, you know, so it has its pluses for sure. And in an oven, you can do 2 or 3 things at once if you want to. I know it reduces probably the time. It increases the time you need to bake them all at, possibly, but you can get several pans or dishes in there at one time. You can't do that in an air fryer. No way. And a few of the cons of using a large oven is the preheating time. I mentioned this, that you have to plan ahead and preheat your oven so that you get it at this temperature, 375 or 425 or whatever. And then you can bake things at the length of time that you need to. Otherwise, you would have to add more time to the baking. It is a higher energy usage. I think an oven takes more energy because it's a larger appliance. It's a big area to heat up. Whereas the air fryer is pretty small, and I think it cooks things faster in the air fryer. So because of the air circulating, I don't have a convection oven in my range. I just have a regular oven. Since you do have to preheat the oven, it's not as convenient. Like if I wanted to heat up some leftover pizza or something like that, it takes longer, and the air fryer does a great job. I wanted to show you today how I use this small stainless steel bowl. It fits right in my air fryer. So I'm just going to make some rice and beans, and I'll heat it up in the air fryer. Actually, I have the brown rice already cooked, so I'm just going to add some in here. That looks like enough. And then I will use my slotted spoon because I don't want all that juice. Got some chili beans here. That looks good. Then I chopped up some onion, a red onion, so I'm just going to put that in. And I'm going to put this in my air fryer. Actually, I'm going to add some spinach too. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. And now I'll show you how I cook this little breakfast bowl. I haven't talked much today, so my throat's a little froggy, but I'm going to show you how I cook this in my air fryer. Okay, so I'm just going to place the bowl right in there, and I'll tell you how this bowl did not come with my air fryer, but I'll tell you how I figured out the size that would fit. I just measured across here, and then I measured the depth, and I took those measurements to the thrift store with me, and it took me several visits to find this bowl, and it measured correctly, so I brought it home and it fits. So I'm just going to put that right in there, and I'll do about 375, and I'll just put it on 5 minutes, and I'll show you when it comes out. Okay, my rice and bean bowl has cooked in the air fryer for about 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm just going to add some cheese, a lot because I love it, and I'm going to melt that for another probably a minute, then it'll be ready to eat. Okay, the cheese is melted. I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to use some tongs because the metal bowl is hot. So I'm just going to set it here on this tray. I'm going to add some chopped tomatoes, and if I wanted to, I could add avocado chunks, cilantro, anything you want. But I like heating things up in this bowl because to me, the microwave can make things a little soggy, and the air fryer is just the opposite. It kind of dries things out, and I like my food on the drier side, I guess. That's just my preference. So that's just one way I use my air fryer, and I don't have to heat up the big oven. I've done videos about how I use my air fryer, and I'll put links to those in the description below. And if you want to check those out for specific ways to use the air fryer to cook certain things, go ahead. And if you're new here, I'm Do It Myself Peg, and this is my YouTube channel about frugal living. And one way I am frugal is I cook almost all of my meals at home using my air fryer or my oven or the top of my stove, whatever. But it saves money. I don't eat out hardly ever because I think it's a lot of money for what you get, in my opinion. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, consider subscribing and giving this video a like or a thumbs up. That'd be great. It helps out my channel, and I appreciate everybody who stops by and checks out my videos. I really genuinely appreciate you. So leave a comment and let me know if you prefer your oven or an air fryer, if you even have an oven or an air fryer, because I'm not going to assume everybody does. I know I have a neighbor who doesn't have an oven or a stove. She took it out. She doesn't cook. She wanted the extra space. So not everybody has one, and that's okay. You know, we're all different. We all have our own ways of doing things, and that's good. And I will see you next time.